You know that feeling when you make a choice and you're absolutely sure you're in control, but later you kind of wonder, what really made me do that? Well, today we're diving deep into those hidden forces that are constantly pulling our strings, from these subtle little cues in our environment to the powerful programming that's already running inside our own minds. Okay, so to really see this in action, let's just look at a few wild real-world experiments. These are situations where people's choices got totally flipped by something they swore they didn't even notice. It all starts with a simple question. What makes a person say yes? So in one study, and get this, researchers had a guy go up to women and ask for their phone number. His success rate absolutely went through the roof, but only when he was carrying one very specific thing, a guitar case. Nothing else about him changed. Not his words, not his clothes, just that guitar case. Then, in a different experiment, they had the same man ask the same question, and again his success rate shot up. But this time, it was just about where he was standing. When he asked women for their number right in front of a flower shop, he got way more yeses. And here's the kicker. When they asked the women afterward if the flowers had anything to do with it, they all said no, of course not. And this doesn't just happen face-to-face. On an online furniture store, researchers split the visitors into two groups. One group saw a website with a background of soft, fluffy clouds. The other saw a background covered in coins. The results? They were insane. The cloud group consistently chose furniture based on comfort, while the coin group went straight for whatever was cheapest. And just like the women at the flower shop, they all insisted the background had zero effect on their decision. So, what is this invisible force? In every single one of these examples, people felt like they were making a totally rational, conscious choice. They thought they were flying the plane. But it turns out something else was in the cockpit, quietly guiding their decisions all along. Well, the answer comes down to this really powerful idea in psychology. It's all about what happens before a message is even delivered. It's about setting the stage, preparing the mind for what's to come. Psychologist Robert Cialdini calls it persuasion. It's the science of making people receptive to your message before they even hear it. It's not about what you say. It's about creating the right moment, the right context, so that when you do say it, they're already leaning towards yes. This is such a great way to think about it. Your message, your request, it's like a seed. And you can have the best seed in the world, but if you toss it onto dry, rocky ground, nothing's going to happen. Persuasion is all about preparing the soil. That's exactly what the guitar case and the flower shop were doing. They were priming the idea of romance, making the soil fertile for a romantic request. And this works just as well with words. Check this out. A salesperson was having a tough time selling a $75,000 product, so he made one tiny change. Right before he said the price, he would just laugh and say, "Well, I can't charge you $1 million for this." And just like that, the negotiation stopped. Why? It's a classic anchoring effect. That ridiculous $1 million number persuaded them into seeing 75 grand as a total bargain. But these nudges aren't just coming from the outside world. I mean, what if the most powerful puppeteer, the one with the most influence over you, is already inside your own head? This is the core idea behind a field called Psycho-Cybernetics. It sees your brain and nervous system as this incredibly sophisticated servo mechanism, like a heat-seeking missile. It has a target, and it will automatically correct its course over and over again until it hits that target. So what's the target it's locked onto? It's the image you hold of yourself, your self-image. The founder of the Fight Mediocrity channel shared this incredibly powerful story. A teacher told him he was worthless and would never achieve anything. In that statement, it became the target. For years, his subconscious mind, his inner servo mechanism, just worked tirelessly to prove her right, because that was the goal it had been given. But here's the part that changes everything. If your self-image is the target, well, you have the power to change it. And the secret sauce is this. Your nervous system literally cannot tell the difference between a real, actual experience and one that you just vividly imagine. To your brain, if you feel it, it's real. So Dr. Maxwell Maltz, the guy who came up with this whole idea, he developed a simple daily exercise to do exactly that. First, just relax completely. Second, create a mental movie of yourself having already achieved your goal and make it vivid, see all the details. And third, this is the key, remember the feeling of a past success, any win, big or small, and inject that powerful emotion right into your new imagined scene. You're basically giving your internal guidance system a new set of coordinates. All right, so let's bring all this down to earth and see how these hidden forces play out in one of the most high-stakes parts of our lives, our money. So many of us, without even realizing it, have our internal thermostat set to looking rich, right? We buy the nice car, the watch, the big house, all of these visible signals to show people we've made it. But as Morgenhausel explains in The Psychology of Money, true wealth is the exact opposite. It's what you don't see. It's the money you haven't spent, the assets that are just quietly growing in the background, giving you real freedom and options. And that really gets to the heart of it. The ultimate thing money can buy isn't more stuff. It's freedom. It's the ability to wake up in the morning and say, I can do whatever I want with my day-to-day. That control over your own time, that's the highest dividend money will ever pay. We also fall into these powerful story traps with money. We hear success stories and we think winning is common, but the data tells a very different story. Look at this. Pretty much the entire net gain of the stock market since 1980 was driven by a tiny handful, just 7% of superstar companies. These huge successes, these tail events, are incredibly rare, but they account for almost all the growth. And that leads to maybe the biggest money mind trap of all. We completely misunderstand the price of success. When the market dips, our gut reaction is that we're being punished, that it's a fine for making a bad bet. But that's the wrong way to look at it. The volatility, the fear, the uncertainty, that isn't a fine. It's the fee. It's the price of admission you have to pay to get the long-term returns the market offers. So, you've got these external forces priming your decisions and these powerful internal programs steering you toward a target you might not have even chosen. With all these hidden puppeteers at play, how do we finally cut the strings and take the wheel ourselves? Well, it really all boils down to these core ideas. We can be smart about priming the environment before we ask for what we want. We can focus on real, unseen wealth, not just the illusion of it. And maybe most importantly, we can consciously reset our own inner thermostat by vividly imagining the success we want to achieve. The word cybernetics actually comes from a Greek word that means steersman, the person steering the ship. By understanding these forces, you become your own steersman. Because make no mistake, your mind is being programmed every single day. By your environment, by your past, by the stories you tell yourself, that programming is happening whether you like it or not. So the only real question left is this: are you going to let someone else write the code, or are you going to pick up the keyboard and write it yourself?